Comparative politics is a subfield of political science, characterized by an empirical approach based on the comparative method. Arend Lichvaart argues that comparative politics does not have a substantive focus in itself, but rather a methodological one. It focuses on the how but does not specify the what of the analysis. In other words, comparative politics is not defined by the object of its study, but rather by the method it applies to study political phenomena. Peter Meyer and Richard Rose advance a slightly different definition, arguing that comparative politics is defined by a combination of a substantive focus on the study of countries' political systems and a method of identifying and explaining similarities and differences between these countries using common concepts. Rose states that, on his definition, the focus is explicitly or implicitly upon more than one country, thus following familiar political science usage in excluding within-nation comparison. Methodologically, comparison is distinguished by its use of concepts that are applicable in more than one country. When applied to specific fields of study, comparative politics may be referred to by other names, such as, for example, comparative government, the comparative study of forms of government, or comparative foreign policy, comparing the foreign policies of different states in order to establish general empirical connections between the characteristics of the state and the characteristics of its foreign policy. Sometimes, especially in the United States, the term comparative politics is used to refer to the politics of foreign countries. This usage of the term, however, is often considered incorrect. Comparative politics is a subject developed only in the 1950s when the American political scientists took to the study of political systems in place of foreign governments. They took to the study of the political organizations or political systems of different countries with a view to identify the similarities and dissimilarities. Comparative politics helps the citizens to gain knowledge about the various political systems and develop their own institutions in the light of experience of other countries. The study of comparative politics is also important because it helps us to classify and interpret the data at our disposal and to draw generalizations. The study of comparative politics is often traced to the times of Plato and Aristotle. In fact, it was Aristotle who first of all adopted certain methods of comparative study which were identical to the present-day political studies. After Aristotle, philosophers like Cicero, Polybius, Machiavelli, Montesquieu, J.S. Mill, Lasky etc. also made comparative study of governments and tried to classify and analyze the political institutions. But the credit for making a systematic analysis of the political institutions goes to writers like Feiner, Friedrich, Bryce etc. These writers shifted emphasis from structure and power of government to comparative study of the present role and theoretical analysis for the future. However, the most significant contribution to development of comparative politics was made by scholars like David Easton, G. A. Armand, Carl Deutsch, Harold Laswell, Robert Dahl, Jean Blondel etc. They developed new methods for the study of politics because they were disappointed and dissatisfied with the traditional methods of the study of comparative politics. Comparative politics differs from comparative government in several respects. First, it takes into account the various factors which influence the working of political institutions. Secondly, comparative politics encompasses the political institutions of all the countries of the world. Third, comparative politics makes analytical study of the political institution. Finally, comparative politics take into account the economic, cultural and social aspects of the various institutions. The study of comparative politics has great value. It helps us to understand the actual working of the political institutions of various countries and helps us to comprehend why certain institutions work successfully in some countries and not in other countries. Further, it helps us to understand why political institutions of the same type do not work in identical manner in all countries. This approach helps us to comprehend how the working of political institutions is influenced by the social, economic and cultural factors.